Hi. Hi, I'm Carl, and I'm going to share with you how I learn new songs and practice. I like to practice slowly. I think it's really important that I get to know a song as well as possible and that I take all the time I need to develop the skills I need to play the piece. And while I'm doing that, I work on all sorts of things like chord changes, simple rhythms, the tone of the music, the tone of the guitar, and so on, and I develop the phrasing in my voice. I'm going to focus mostly on the guitar here and how I deal with that aspect, but probably in another conversation I'll talk about how I also learn melodies and sing songs and learn lyrics and things like that. So recently I was working on a song that I made a YouTube video of, a Snow Patrol song. It's called Cold Out in the Dark. And the verse 3, I wanted to do something similar to how they deal with verse 3 in the arrangement. The chords are normally an F falling to a D minor, falling to an A, and then to A minor, and then to B flat. And that gives you this riff-like bass line, which you hear throughout the song, through the chords. Okay, and that's not particularly difficult, and it's quite nice. But when it came to the third verse, I realized that they were not doing that they had some kind of pedal tone, and initially I thought it was just one chord, which was an F. And I thought, oh wow, it sounds like they're doing the whole of the third verse just with an F chord. But then I realized that there was something else happening underneath. There was a bass line moving, and at one point I did hear the riff bass line. Underneath an F chord, and so I decided, well, I'm going to try and reproduce that because it's a pretty cool effect. But it's only part of what's happening. It's a mixture of F chord with an F in the bass moving to an F chord with a B flat in the bass. Okay, so the interesting thing about this is that we have this F chord here, which remains, as far as I'm concerned, remains the same throughout the whole of verse 3. This is how I played it anyway. So you have an F chord with an F in the bass, and then this shape here, this little triad, stays, but you have to play it differently. Okay, so this is the first part of the verse, and these chords move like this. So this is a kind of unusual chord. It's not a standard chord. I don't normally play a chord like this, so I had to deal with this particular chord change. And the way I dealt with that was basically, okay, well, what's the chord? There's the F. That's very comfortable for me, but this is new. So I'm moving slowly to the next chord, and this is how I deal with it. You move slow, okay, to establish the movement, to create or form a new movement in your musical vocabulary of movements, of chord movements. And initially it felt uncomfortable because it's new, and as I say, it's not a chord that I commonly play, and it has a slightly richer sound than a regular B flat chord, because there's lots of harmonic clashes taking place. You have a major seventh, for example, and then you have this ninth, and if you look at those three notes, there are literally B and A and a B flat and a C, which is an unusual combination in a chord, and so it gives you this slightly richer sound, in a good way. So how do I go about practicing that? So I want to just literally, as I've shown you already, play one chord, take a breather, go to the next chord. Okay, and what I'm looking for is playing it without making any mistakes. If I'm making a mistake, I'm effectively practicing a mistake, okay? So the idea is to play it as slowly and as openly as you need to, so that you don't make any mistakes. Okay, so that's the chord change down. And once you feel comfortable with the chord change, it's time to move on to an extra thing. You can decide what it is, but you should start to pay attention to the rhythmic, the structure. Okay, so we have two bars of F, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another bar of F, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 bars of B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I would do now is I would establish a pulse, just a slow one, relaxed one. I wouldn't use a metronome at the early stage. I would just count it slower, as slow as I need to, so that I can make the chord change, and I would keep the rhythm absolutely simple, just one strum per bar. So I start with an F, 1, let's do that again. So it would, a simple strum like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then change chord, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then change chord in the space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, change chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then I would stop, because I don't play any more than that in the song. I don't want to practice any more than the song is asking me in one action or one event. I can go straight back to playing that if I want to, but I need to take a break to say that's what the structure of the music is like at this point, and then I will play it again. Okay, so it's a very similar thing, but now because I can do that quite well, I'm going to introduce a rhythm. The rhythm that I play over this part would be down on the bass note and then up on the chord. Okay, effectively we get this ostinato-like feeling. Okay, and it repeats throughout the whole of the verse 3. So I would still remain at one, just playing on the first beat, or the first 2 eighth notes, and it would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, go slow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, change chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, change chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then relax, because that's the end of the structure. Okay, the idea is that in the space after your strum, your strokes, you change chord. Okay, so you don't need to hold it necessarily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, change chord, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, change chord, 3, 4, etc. Okay. The reason is that the beat is going to help you discipline yourself or synchronize your brain and your musical ear to the idea of a beat, so that you're going to change chords at an appropriate time, but slow enough so that you have plenty of time to change the chord when that moment arrives. Okay, so obviously that's not particularly difficult. It depends on the complexity of the music. I would now go to playing 2 strokes, see how that feels, maybe accelerate the tempo depending on how I feel. And this is what that looks like. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, change chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, change chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, change chord, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, change chord, and stop, because that's the end of the section. Okay, and you would proceed like that until you'd filled out the bar with the rhythm that you're playing, or just filled it out so that you have minimal amount of time, and every time you make the gap smaller between ending playing and changing chords, you have less time, and you're effectively training your brain to react quicker and improving the speed in your fingers to move from one chord to the next, if that's an issue for you. So here's what it would like if I just extend it slightly to one more beat. So now I'm going to play 3 beats in each bar and leave beat 4 empty for changing chords. And let's see if I can accelerate the tempo just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop. Okay. Now there's a really important key here, and that is that if you're making mistakes, then you're playing too fast. So you should slow the tempo down to a point where you're not making any mistakes at all, because as I mentioned earlier, if you're making mistakes and you're not dealing with them deliberately, you're practicing those mistakes and you're kind of including them in your playing, and they become more and more difficult to get rid of over time. So let's just add a tiny little bit more, and basically that will flesh out the entirety of the piece, this part of the verse. And I will drop the tempo down and I'll play up till beat 4, but leave just a tiny little bit of space at the end so that I can accommodate a chord change, okay? So it will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's what that looks like. That's it's not so difficult, but when I first started playing this piece of music, I was caught out a little bit by the slightly unusual chord, and I felt like it was necessary to take myself down to a really slow bass level and build it back up. And I do that with everything as often as I need to do it to reestablish good practice. If I start to find I'm including an error in my playing, or something that I don't like, or there's something that I want to work on, I'll slow it down until I'm in control of that aspect. Okay, well, I just wanted to share that with you. If you find this material interesting or useful, or you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I hope to continue developing these classes in the forthcoming in the next few weeks, okay? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you another time. Bye.